Tonight, KARE 11 Investigates goes behind bars to expose a devastating reality. Nearly 24 babies and toddlers overdosed and dead as fentanyl kills Minnesota's youngest and most vulnerable. Here's reporter Lauren Lemanchek with Deadly Exposure.
I deserve where I am right now. I deserve to be in prison.
From the prison of fentanyl addiction to the Shakopee Women's Prison,
I deserve to get justice for my daughter.
Tessa Vorlicki is living in hell.
I have to wake up every day and just think about my daughter and just think about her, seeing her in a coffin. It kills me every day.
She never meant to harm Mivita, her 1-year-old daughter.
She was an amazing child. She was the happiest baby ever.
Who died after ingesting tiny remnants of Tessa's fentanyl left on some tin foil.
It's hard to think about her because every time I think about her, I think about the drugs and things I could have done differently.
Mivita, one of Minnesota's tiniest victims in the fentanyl crisis.
Data from the state was scarce, but we were alarmed by what seemed to be a rise in babies and toddlers dying of fentanyl. So KARE 11 Investigates requested and then combed through state death records.
Our research identified since 2020 at least 23 children under the age of 8 killed by fentanyl poisoning.
It's a very potent drug.
Minnesota Poison Control Director Dr. John Cole says it takes just minuscule amounts to overdose.
The most common reason for accidental fatal drug overdoses in children is opioids by a long shot. And the most common drug of that class of drugs is fentanyl.
And while total exposures to fentanyl are unknown, a federal report shows in 2023 alone, more than 1,100 infants in our state born with prenatal exposure, drugs in their system.
When Mivita was born, were you using fentanyl?
Yes. And then I told them I was doing drugs. Like, the whole hospital knew.
When a baby is born with fentanyl in their system, should that be a red flag?
It should be the biggest red flag there is.
Tessa says everyone knew she was using. A police hold placed on the baby at the hospital, and child protection was alerted. So what happened next?
Did they give you treatment options?
No. They didn't even bring me up doing drugs when I talked to the CPS worker.
Even though you told them at the hospital and everyone knew you were on fentanyl throughout your pregnancy?
Yeah.
Tessa received what's called an assessment. The State Department of Children, Youth, and Families says that's standard practice when babies are born exposed to drugs, including fentanyl.
With an assessment, it is offering support, finding ways to support, right, working with the family and trying to find accountability voluntarily.
Voluntarily. Unlike if a full investigation is ordered, which could result in court-ordered treatment or even the removal of a child.
Tessa Jean Vorlicki.
In court, facing a judge.
Ms. Vorlicki, you did not only hit rock bottom, you have fallen through the bottom.
And consequences for Mivita's death.
You killed your own baby.
Sentenced to prison. Prosecutors blasted Tessa for not addressing her addiction.
She's had repeated opportunities for help.
And she agrees. She should have. And she tried. But the drug had a vice-like grip.
Your body is literally dependent on it. You can't wake up and go through an entire day without doing the drug. You have to wake up and you don't think about your kid. You wake up and you think about, where's my next hit?
Tessa says CPS had her sign a safety plan right after Mivita came home from the hospital. But there was no follow-up. Not when she was arrested, slumped over in her car with fentanyl. Not even when her mother contacted Ramsey County with concerns. An investigation not opened until Mivita was already dead.
Ramsey County says they can't speak directly to Mivita's case. The state DCYF can't either, but says their goal is protecting kids and supporting parents with substance use disorder to keep families together.
Do we need to look at fentanyl differently than we look at other illicit drugs?
There is a spike happening, and I think we are taking it very seriously. Should we treat this addiction different from other addictions? I don't know the answer to that.
Tessa argues yes. The clock ticking on 2 years in prison. A lifetime of regret ahead.
I look in the mirror and I see her. In my heart, it just hurts.
Telling her story as an apology, a plea,
Something needs to be done.
and a warning.
You can't have another human depend on you when you depend on a substance.
Well, we reviewed each of these 24 cases and found many situations like this one where babies and toddlers seem to simply fall through the cracks despite all these red flags. Next week, we'll look at what some believe Minnesota needs to do about this.
It's such a fair question. If fentanyl is so deadly in such small amounts, should it be treated differently? It's a great question. And you told me, Lauren, she's just 20 years old.
Just 20 years old, and I have to say, I think it is very brave of her
Yeah.
to come forward and try and prevent this from happening to another family. Speaking to the state, they're acknowledging there is a spike in fentanyl deaths among children. They say they're working to figure out what to do with it, and I think Tessa's story might be instructive.
All right. Thanks so much, Lauren.